Tennis star Novak Djokovic has lost his legal bid to avoid deportation from Australia. The federal court has unanimously rejected Djokovic's appeal to stay in the country and compete in the Australian Open.
Orders of the court are: 1, the amended application be dismissed with costs, such costs to be agreed or failing agreement assessed. 2, reasons to be published at a later date. Those are the orders of the court.
Djokovic has released a statement. He has said that he is extremely disappointed with the court's decision. However, he says that he would respect it and cooperate with the authorities, facilitating his departure from the country. Now, government's lawyers argue that Djokovic's continued presence in the country was a risk, as it could lead to anti-vaccination sentiments. This comes at a time when the country is facing its worst COVID-19 outbreak since the pandemic began. The latest decision effectively ends Djokovic's hopes of setting a world record at the Australian Open. Djokovic will be deported from Australia ahead of the Open. Djokovic has spent much of the last week in immigration detention. His visa has been revoked twice by the government. And for more on this, we were earlier joined by Christy Torrent from Sydney, who is a sports journalist with all the latest. Listen in.
I don't think it's necessarily the social media outrage. That would have been pretty split. And also, I think it shifted throughout. There was, at one stage, outrage, and it probably moved towards a more of a sympathetic view towards Novak Djokovic when he's in detention for a number of days. What I think changed that once again was when it was revealed that Novak had gone to, conducted the interview on the 16th, 17th of December when he had COVID. This was a real, he's taken matters into his hands. He's had no sense of morality and ethical kind of, he's broken all the ethics by going out there and putting people at risk. Now, that is something that the Australian government could really pinpoint by going, well, this guy does not have an ounce of respect to the rules. How can we trust him in Australia? But it also occurred when Australians have been encouraged to get vaccines. You're not allowed to go anywhere in Melbourne without showing your vaccine passport by checking in to any bar or restaurant that you may go into. So there were a lot of things that were occurring to shift that over the course of a couple of days. But this really, I think, comes down to politics too. The Australian government is seeking re-election come May. They're probably behind in the polls. It's expected that there might be a change in government. And this is one area that the Liberal coalition government has always been very strong, particularly Scott Morrison, which is a Fortress Australia mentality. Stop the boats. We won't allow refugees in. Stop the boats. Close the borders. We don't want anyone else coming into Australia. And if you look inside Australia too, Western Australia, which is on the west of Australia, that has shut itself off to the rest of Australia completely. People from New South Wales aren't even allowed to get into Western Australia at the moment. So this COVID issue, it's been front and centre of the media landscape for 2 years. So it's not surprising.
WION, now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.